Ariana, welcome back to my channel. So for tonight's video, we are going to be reading some more scary stories. So as per usual, my room is really warm. I have my Rae Dunn Wicked candle here that smells like caramel apples, and I'm ready to dive into some spooky stories. So for the first story, I'm going to give you guys a trigger warning now. It does mention some really deep things like death, near-death experiences, overdosing, stuff like that. So if you want to skip past the video, I'll put a little timestamp in the description box down below or in the comment section so you guys can skip that story and go to the next one. The next story is really good as well. They're both from the same author, but the first story is the one that has some touchy subjects that you may just want to skip past. So I'm just giving you guys a trigger warning now so you guys have every right to go ahead and skip that story. So I really hope you can't hear any noise in the background. My roommate is playing games in his room and it's a little bit loud. The cars will not stop going by and it's just kind of loud in my house right now. So I hope that you guys can't hear background noise, but I have music playing in my videos usually, so usually it drowns it out. So I'm hoping that that's what happens. So we're gonna be reading some more scary stories that I've gotten permission from the authors to read. This look will be up on my TikTok if you guys are interested in going and checking it out. And of course, as usual, I have my Wicked candle in here with me. It's not lit or anything, it's just caramel apple, and it smells so good. So my whole studio has smelled like this for like the last month. I am going to be doing, well, I'm thinking about doing a spooky home decor haul because I've been collecting spooky things for like the last year or so. So if you guys are interested in a home decor haul of spooky items, please let me know in the comments down below and I will definitely film that for you. This is obviously one of the pieces that I picked up, and honestly, I just really want to film it. So I'm curious to know if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing, and if so, let me know. But let's just jump on into the stories. So the first story is from the No Sleep section. It is from the author Live for Scary Stories. And the story is titled, I Died and Came Back. 2 days ago, I overdosed. From what I was told later, my supposed friends pulled up in front of the hospital, threw me out of the car onto the pavement, and took off. I was pronounced dead for almost a minute. I need to share what I saw with anyone willing to listen. So here goes my best possible explanation of something I can hardly explain to myself. I woke up in a void of total blackness, darker than any moonless night I had ever experienced. I tried to scream for help, but no sound came out. I continued at the top of my lungs. Nothing. There was literally nothing. No sense of time, space, or sound. I have no idea how long I wandered through that void with no destination or even the slightest hope I might find one. After what felt like an eternity, I saw it. I saw a bright light at the end of the tunnel, just like I had heard described before. I ran towards that light faster than I had thought possible, when suddenly, the sensation of ground was just gone. The tunnel no longer appeared in front of me, but above. I was floating towards the light. I could feel the warmth and peace emanating through the darkness. The closer I got to the top, the more narrow the tunnel seemed to be getting. I was so focused on that brilliant light, I hadn't even stopped to look around me until something grabbed me by the ankle. A hand, reaching out from inside the wall of the tunnel, then another and another. Hands from all sides, below me, above me, surrounding me, trying to push me or pull me down. I screamed. This time, my voice made a sound. Please, God, help me. Make them stop. Please stop. I pleaded with my hands as they continued to reach out for me. And when I finally looked down, I saw the hands were attached to the naked bodies of gray, emaciated, desperate faces. They began screeching and wailing. Let me go, please, I begged. I could see now that the tunnel looked like a cave. Carved into the cave were deep grooves circling the entire place. Each groove contained thousands of cages, trapping the desperate, decrepit things that were once human, reaching out to push and pull me down. I kicked and flailed and screamed, but there were too many of them. I was so close to the light, so close to what I knew was salvation, but I couldn't reach it as the massive hands continued to grab onto me. I grabbed the sides of the wall, kicking and biting at the hands. I pushed myself upwards as hard as I could. Almost to the top now, I heard a young girl crying. Despite all the hands reaching out, trying to drag me down with them, the girl sat in her cage with her back to me. I realized I would never make it to the top. There were too many desperate, hopeless, pleading hands. But maybe I could save her. Maybe while the hands were distracted with me, I could push her towards the light. I clung to her cage to steady myself. I felt like the hands would tear me limb from limb. I could feel my skin, my muscles, and tendons stretching beyond their limits. Crying out in pain, I opened the girl's cage and begged her to take my hand. She turned and looked at me with desperate eyes and grabbed onto me. With all the strength left within my spirit, I shoved the girl as hard as I could towards the light. I watched her cling to the edge, kicking desperately at the hands that tried to pull her back down, until she disappeared over the ledge. I laughed joyously. The pain in my limbs was immediately forgotten as I saw that girl disappear into the light, but only for a brief moment, as I realized I would very soon find myself in one of these very same cages, like a feral animal, damned to be trapped in this place. As I felt myself being pushed and pulled down, I suddenly saw the girl. I saw her little face peering into the hole. She reached out to me, telling me to take her hand. Her hand reached further than what it would have been possible. She pulled me free from the awful hands with more strength than what should have been possible. Nothing made sense in this place. The light was so bright I couldn't see anything at first. As my eyes adjusted, I found myself in the most beautiful field of flowers. Flowing water, trees, mountains, more beautiful than anything I'd ever seen. The plants seemed to dance to the musical sound of the wind. "Thank you," the young girl said to me. Her eyes showed a deep gratitude. I watched the color come back to her face. She smiled brightly at me. Then I noticed the scars on her wrist. She had herself, and in doing so, had damned herself to that awful place. That's when it hit me. The sudden realization of what that place really was. It wasn't hell, not in the biblical sense. It was the place those poor souls damned themselves to be trapped in. Those who hated themselves so much they ended up right where they believed they belonged, completely unaware that no devil or creature had doomed them to that place. They trapped themselves in death the way they trapped themselves in life. They kept desperately pulling people down with them, when all they had to do was push the person up instead. If every hand that reached out helped to propel that person towards the light, they themselves could be saved. I ran back to the hole, resolved to try to save as many of them as I could. But before I made it back, I heard a strange, rhythmic beeping sound. "She has a pulse! Doctor, her vital signs are coming back," I heard someone shouting. The next day was a blur. The few people I told my story to told me that it's common for people to have vivid hallucinations during near-death experiences. This wasn't a near-death experience. I was clinically dead. I know what I experienced was real. I know that place exists somewhere out there in a world vastly different from our own. I dream of it every night. Remembered those tortured souls, desperately sad at the knowledge that they could free themselves one by one if they would only help each other instead of dragging each other down in their own panic. If anyone's reading this, take my words as a warning. So many of us humans are self-loathing, so much more cruel to ourselves than anyone else. Sometimes we take that cruelty out on others, but you do not deserve to lock yourself away in a cage. You deserve forgiveness. We all do. One day I hope we all find ourselves in that field, where the flowers dance and the wind sings. Please heed my warning. Put down that knife, put down the pills, step off the scale, stop fighting with your husband, go look yourself in the mirror and decide today that you don't deserve to be treated the way you've been treating yourself, that you deserve peace. Because if you don't, you will find yourself staring up at the most brilliant light, forever just barely out of your reach. And that's how the end of the story. So that is a really sad story and has a really, really nice ending, but that he or she got out of the darkness and the hole and helped somebody, so they helped them. I'm going to put trigger warnings in this, obviously, because this is really, really deep stuff. It touches on some things that some people may not want to actually talk about. So I'm going to put trigger warnings in here. Although that is a no sleep story, I believe no sleep is fiction. It's still a powerful story. So I'll put trigger warnings in just in case. So this is from the same author, Live for Scary Stories. They have another scary story they want to share. So this one is titled, I Just Heard a Phone Ring in My House, but I Live Alone. I've been laying in bed scrolling through my phone for the past hour. At one point, I heard movement behind my head, coming from inside the wall. I picture some huge rat or bat or maybe even a raccoon was trapped in there trying to find its way out. I live in a very old house, so there is no new insulation. Plenty of space for a whole family of opossums or who knows what. It's late, nothing I can do about it, so I just put on a video to try to block out the noise. Still pretty freaked out about the idea of something creeping around in my walls though. Why does shit like this only happen when you're alone? I thought to myself. I kept hearing more shuffling sounds from behind my head. It didn't sound like claws or bat wings, just soft shuffling. It was getting on my nerves, so I banged on the wall, but something banged back. I sat upright immediately, trying to convince myself I panicked the poor creature, so it slammed into the wall, trying to run away. It's really amazing how easily we can brush things off when we don't want to feel scared. That has to be it, right? Something just ran into the wall when it heard me. That makes sense. Desperately trying to reassure myself. Frozen in place, not sure what to do or think. Damn, I wish I wasn't alone right now. I waited to see if the shuffling sounds came back. Nothing. I finally let myself calm down, laughing at myself for being so terrified of some poor raccoon in the wall, imagining he's just as afraid as me of being trapped in there. Hope he finds his way out. After it felt like enough silence had passed, I put my video back on. I could feel myself drifting to sleep when I heard it. I heard a phone ring, right behind my fucking head. It was only for a second, but that was long enough to realize there was someone hiding inside the wall of my house. That thin wall is the only thing separating them from me. Panic set in fast. I froze. I went to call 911, but I realized I didn't hear anything moving. Whoever is back there is trying to stay still, silent, hoping I'm asleep and didn't hear their phone. I do not want to let them know otherwise. Hiding under the covers, I texted the police. I've heard that's something you can do, but I haven't gotten a response. I've texted all of my friends, my parents, at least half of the people in my phone, but it's late and no one is responding. Where are the damn cops? I thought to myself. I'm trying to stay as silent as possible. I'm too scared to run. There has to be someone awake out there. Someone please help me. What the fuck do I do? I got a text alert on my phone, breaking the silence as a massive hand punched through the wall, reaching out for me in the dark. It grabbed me by the hair, yanked me towards him, and forced his way through the thin wall. I kicked and I flailed in desperation, but he was on top of me before I even had a chance to get away. Completely breathless under the weight of him, I realized I was not making it out alive. My vision began to go black as he punched me repeatedly. Fight or flight kicked in, and a sudden moment of adrenaline, I forced my thumb into his eye, pushing with all of my might until I heard a sickening popping sound. Grabbing his bloody eye socket, he leaned back, giving me just enough time to kick him as hard as I could in the most sensitive parts. He wailed in pain as I ran as fast as I could out the door, screaming. My neighbor's porch light turned on, and I banged on the door until she let me in. Covered in scratches and blood, bawling my eyes out, I begged her to call the police. I stayed with my neighbor for the night when the police investigated my house. They found empty food wrappers, bottles full of pee, pictures of me strung up on the inside of the wall, pictures of me while I slept, unaware of the man who had lived in my walls for what appeared to have been months. They never found him. Now every night I dream of that hand punching its way through the wall, playing out what might have happened had I not escaped. Every house has a crawl space, or that attic no one ever really goes in, that little space under the basement stairs, or an old wall with just enough space to hide. You never know who might be lurking, creeping around your own home, watching you through a tiny little hole in the wall you've never even noticed. The truth is, there could be someone inside your home right now, but you would never know, unless you suddenly hear a phone ring. And that's at the end of the story. Oh my god, okay, this author is really, really amazing. Like, they make really, really cool stories, and I believe this one is from the scary stories section. So this one's not even from the no sleep section. This one's just scary stories. So that's terrifying. If that's real and that actually happened, holy shit. There's so many cases you can see on the news and just Reddit forums and just internet forums of people finding people living in their homes. Like, that is terrifying. I would be so fucking scared if I found out someone was staying in my house with me and I had no idea. Like, that is absolutely terrifying. So we're at about 16 minutes right now, so I'm gonna go find one more story, and we're gonna read one more story, and then we're gonna wrap it up. It's really, really warm in here right now, but I'm trying to make this just a little bit longer than my last couple of videos have been, because they've been about like the 15-minute mark, and I kind of want to go around the 20-minute mark. So I'm gonna go find one more story. Okay, so the next story that I'm gonna read is from the Spoopy Cjades section, and this is from the Reddit user Serotonin, and it's titled, I've seen my sister's doppelganger twice. The first time I saw my sister's doppelganger, I was around 8 years old and Sophie was around 6. To set the scene, we have a pretty big backyard with a swing set. We were playing tag in our backyard and everything was completely normal. She was it for a very long time because I knew I was faster than her and I was kind of being a bitch about it. I started getting tired, so I let her tag me and run off. When I started chasing her, I saw her run around the corner. When I followed, I saw her running from underneath the swing set. I distinctly remember seeing the color of her shirt as she ran by. Her shirt had light blue and green paisley designs, and she had black shorts on. I even saw her brown curly hair. I ran after her behind the swing set, knowing I cornered her, but stopped dead in my tracks when I realized that no one was there. The swing set was against our fence, so the only way she could have gotten away is if she had literally sprouted wings and flew off. My child brain couldn't comprehend what had just happened, so I called out her name in a panic. She immediately responded from the other side of the backyard, asking why I went behind the swing set. In complete awe, I asked, "How did you get over there?" "You went behind the swing set." I still remembered the confused look on her face as she responded, "Why would I run there? I know I can't get out." Chills ran through my body, and I decided it was a good time to stop playing. The second time I saw Sophie's doppelganger was a few years later. I was 16, she was 13, and I was up late doing AP US history notes. I was in my room and my door was open. The hall light was on, but everyone was asleep. I was facing away from my door, but I could see it in my peripheral vision, and my sister's room was right next to mine. I was focusing on my notes when out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a black figure run out of her room. I fully saw her arms swing and her legs trail behind her. I paid no mind, thinking my sister just went to the bathroom, but quickly realized I never heard her door open, and I didn't hear footsteps as she ran. We have very creaky floors in our house, and it's impossible to tiptoe, let alone run. In complete silence, I immediately looked over to her room, and her door was shut, and the light was off. This all happened in under a minute, so I was very confused. I went to ask her if she got up recently, but when I opened the door, she was asleep. I stood there in complete disbelief, trying to rationalize what I had saw. My mom has also seen a shadow person that looks like my sister, but that's for another time. I also have so many more paranormal stories. I'm pretty sure my dad haunted my house recently, and my sister has an old porcelain doll that likes to steal things and bring weird gifts in return. If you'd like to hear more, just let me know. Oh my God, that's creepy. I want to hear more about the doll, and I kind of want to hear about your house that your dad haunted. That's terrifying, but really cool. So this is where I'm going to end the video because I am literally covered in sweat right now. Like, I can barely snap my fingers. It is so fucking warm in here right now. I feel like my makeup is gonna melt off, and I kind of want to go to bed. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this. If you guys are interested in sending me in scary stories, or you want me to read and react to your own paranormal stories or scary stories or let's not meet stories or just stories in general, please let me know in the comments down below or message me on Instagram, and I would be happy to read your stories. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next video. Bye.